Hey, this is Kate, your Dublin dietitian and creator of the Empowered Healing Program. I am here in this video to talk to you about what the MRT test is looking at and how the diet protocol works. So kind of a quick note, there are two tangential videos that I will link in the description that I would also recommend you watch, and I'll talk a little bit more about each of them at the end and how they wrap up into this. But essentially, one is a Gutsy Gal's video on when calories in, calories out doesn't work, and other things that can be stalling weight loss progress, because food sensitivities is one of those potential factors. And actually, I'll also show you, like, basically every single client loses weight unless they don't want to, and we are able to maintain it for someone who's at their goal weight, but everyone who wants to, we do, across the board, hands down. I'll show you those results. And then the other one is where I discuss the different types of food sensitivity tests, and why I like the MRT test. But kind of in short on that one, it gives us 170 different foods and chemicals, and not only shows us what are your trigger foods, but shows us a safe starting point, and I'll show you that. And it also includes chemicals, which I find is very, very important, because this can be what stalls somebody out. You can see that here on my screen. So that is also really important, because numerous times I've seen that be a problem. So that's another reason I like the MRT versus just food-based food sensitivities. And also because it looks at all mediators released in the body from any part of the immune response, the sensitivity response, the IgG, IgA, histamine, all these different things, versus a lot of other tests, in order to cut costs, will only check certain branches of the immune response. So very commonly we see tests that are just like IgG or IgG and IgA, and so they miss a lot, and I just don't see the same results. When people, they often come to me and they're like, well, I don't want to do a food sensitivity test, I already did one. I can almost always guarantee it's because they did a poor quality one that does not give a full comprehensive set of results. So I want to show you in this video what the results look like and what that means, because I don't want to sugarcoat it. It is a very restrictive diet at first. Again, if you've been following me for a while, you know my philosophy is that no person should be on a restricted diet for life, with very, very few exceptions. We want to get to the point where you can have a full, abundant life, full of all sorts of whole foods, healthy foods in balance. Clients even get back to the point they can have some gluten, they can have dairy, they can have all these foods that they missed. We just sometimes have to reset and heal. And I find this to be the most accelerated way to begin that process, because inflammation is at the core of so much. So if you're watching this video, hopefully it's because we've already sort of decided that this is probably the appropriate test to you. You are ready to accelerate that process and get healing and get feeling your best right away. But the last caveat I have is you have to truly be ready for it, because it can be very tricky. So I want to show you what it looks like. So this is my lab test. And again, what they're doing, they take your blood, Oxford will take your blood, they challenge it against 170 different foods and chemicals, and then they sort it into each food group. So you've got your veggies, your fruits, beans, nuts, legumes, seeds, and so on, flavor enhancers, meats, poultry, seafood, etc. And we also have the chemicals. And what they're showing you is, this is essentially the volume or the amount of a reaction that your immune system is creating. How much is your immune system going, ooh, hey, I don't know what you are, I don't like you, and mounting an attack. And this is when that attack happens, that's when we start to see inflammation, migraines, IBS, stubborn weight loss, weight retention, bloating, joint pain, brain fog, mood issues, all sorts of stuff, all the things on that symptom survey that you should have seen by now, or you will see later, and I'll link some more. So basically it's saying this is something your body doesn't mind. All these green reactive foods are sort of low level. Then you get into yellow reactive, and that's where it's higher. And we want to avoid these things for a while. I've healed my gut enough. I don't actually have any red anymore. Wheat used to be a red reactive for me. You can still see it's a fairly high yellow, but it has come down as I've calmed down my immune system and healed my GI a little bit. So we get these foods separated into these lists. We get the chemicals separated. And what your diet will be, it's basically the starting point. These items that we know are not causing a high food sensitivity, inflammatory response within each food group. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you don't have a food intolerance or a food allergy to some of these issues. It just means that food sensitivity. But pretty much across the board, people do see when we start on these low-level foods, they start to feel better fast. So the results are then broken down into these phases. And I'll zoom out real quick just so you can see. We've got each of those food groups now listed again, well, sort of combined. So all the proteins, the beans, the seafood, the meats, are all sort of combined together. But essentially, each of your overall food groups, they're listed here. And those lowest reactive are what's listed in phase 1. So we do this sort of washout period where that's all you can eat for days 1 through 7. Sometimes up to 10. Now, yes, there is a detox phase for many people, sort of where your body's readjusting and you feel worse that first week, kind of around days 3 to 5, but usually by days 7 to 10, people are feeling so much better. Even in just 7 days, people will notice their bloating is going down, their energy is coming up. They might not need as much coffee, or if they're allowed to have coffee, digestion's improving, just all sorts of stuff, even in a week. And that helps keep you motivated because it's fast results. By day 10, you're feeling good, and we then start you into phase 2 and kind of keep moving on. So slowly, it's not a free-for-all, but slowly your food list does expand, and then we get to go off the grid. We get to figure out how do you go out to eat. If you want to have alcohol as part of a healthy balance, not that I'm straight up condoning drinking alcohol, but on a realistic level, if that's something that's important to you and your lifestyle, we talk about ways to make all of that sustainable. But when it starts, it is this tricky list here. You can see you've only got 5 or 6 proteins. You only get a couple starches and grains, a handful of vegetables. So that's how it starts. And for me, I got lucky. This was not a bad list. I got to have beef. So I was having steak and burgers that I made myself, knew they were safe. I had chicken, I could have turkey. I was having oatmeal for breakfast, carrots, spinach, green peppers, avocados for my fats. I'd sweeten things with pureed dates. So for me, this was a really simple list to begin with. Obviously, it restricted some of my eating out for a time, but again, the amount of energy I had after 10 days was just through the roof. I did it for athletic improvement and just general well-being. I was losing weight. I was able to start working. I'd started getting into 2-a-day workouts as I was training for my obstacle course races. But it was through the roof. My numbers got better. My improvement just skyrocketed over that summer of training. I got to the point where I was doing 2-a-day workouts, and then I'd go and do like play in the evening. I'd go rock climbing with friends, or go play ultimate frisbee, or just something else, go play at Glacier Ridge. So for me, that just was so motivating. I just felt so good, but I was coming from a pretty healthy standpoint. So to compare that, this is Andy's. She's given me permission to share it. But you can see, same idea. Everything's listed green to yellow up to red. So she did have only 1 red reactive. On average, I see people have about 1 to 3 red reactives. I do see a couple with 5. But this was important because soy is in everything. It's in so much. It's in, maybe dog food that she touches while she's feeding her dog, or it can be in cosmetics and just so many other things. Soy lecithin is used in so much. But I want to show hers because, again, I got lucky. I had what I call lucky results. She did not. So this is where I show, like, you really need to be ready to commit. This is not just a whimsical kind of, I feel like I should kick it. Like, this is for people who are motivated. They are ready to make a change. They are ready to step into a new level of health. Because she came in and she was only given 4 proteins, which included mung bean. Not many people even know what that is, let alone how to cook it and make it taste good. Fortunately, we found some pasta that was made just of mung bean flour and water. Salmon, rainbow trout, not easy to find, and then red kidney beans, which she actually couldn't do well with due to other GI issues. So she did have a bit of an intolerance to the fiber in beans. So this was kind of her starting protein list for a week or so. And then even when we expanded again, like, it's pretty limited. So it took time before we got to things like pork and lamb and such that we could do. So she had to stick to these proteins. Now, hands down, she will 100% say, completely worth it. She, you know, she got her life back doing this program. She was no longer tied to the bathroom, you know, 7 times a day. She was no longer afraid to eat because she knew these foods felt good in her body. They worked. She lost weight, but she could eat without anxiety anytime she wanted, so long as she had these foods. So for her, she said, completely worth it. She had oats and amaranth. Her vegetables, butternut squash became a big kind of staple for her. So I do just like to point out to people before you commit to this, before you invest, that it can be a tricky list. And it just depends. It 100% depends on the person and your blood work. But again, I don't like to sugarcoat it. I want to be very upfront about what it might take to commit to it. But when you are ready, the results have just been phenomenal across the board. Now, weight loss is a high priority to people. It's not the only priority to people. So I'll show a couple different things here. But again, because inflammation is at the root of so much, and a huge factor of inflammation is food. When we address the inflammation through food and lifestyle, and that inflammation calms down, all the water retention that your body is holding because of that inflammation can release. All the fat that your body is storing because it can't process and detox and eliminate properly starts to get released. And the body starts to work again. It works more efficiently and energy just goes up. So when we look at weight, these are just a handful of clients, but just across the board, you can see where they start. So this client, she started at 230 pounds, and after going through her program, or maybe his, I don't actually remember whose this is because I've blocked that off, down to 204. So almost 30 pounds over the program. So we see that here, 233 down to 180, a little bump at the end. Trying to remember what happened here. I think this might have been as we were weaning off, and so needed a little extra accountability to stay on track. But all this 233 to 180 from September to March. So this just constant, we can see it's this steady, no yo-yoing, no crashing, just this good steady weight loss. And when we combine it with symptom scores, we also see they feel, you know, this is sort of quantifying how severe and intense symptoms are across the board. This can be energy, sleep issues, anxiety, mood issues, sex drive, muscle stiffness, joint pain, GI issues, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, gas, reflux, heartburn. It can be related to skin, eczema, acne, sinuses, whatever it is, a huge list, because again, inflammation manifests differently because it's systemic. So everybody has it differently. For me, it's a little bit of brain fog and usually low back and knee pain. If I'm getting really inflamed, that's how I can tell. Sometimes sinuses, but that's usually more dairy related. So we quantify based on how many symptoms, how severe, how frequent, and we see this, again, mostly a steady drop. Here's that detox once we got the results in. So from 118 over time down to 59, everything being sustained. Every now and then there's a hiccup. People will travel, get way off track. So a weight loss, 280 down to 240. That was phenomenal, and that was over about 4 or 5 months. And she just maintained, again, symptoms came down. Oh, this one she got COVID. So that's where COVID hit. And then she continued feeling better, and all the way down to 16, such a minimal score, just cutting these numbers down. Weight 196 down to 170. So again, it basically just always happens. Symptom score just dropping, just drop, steady, sustainable. And you can see these are not short programs. While I do have versions of this that are like a 6 to 8 week crash course, and some people do opt for that, you can also see some of these people are still going, and March to May, progress is continuing. Weight loss is happening because I do like to focus, oh, I showed you that one. I do like to focus on the lifestyle, the mindset, learning how to make this sustainable. That is very important. It's important to get the weight off. It's important to get the diet right, start to feel better, because when you feel better, you keep being motivated until discipline takes over. So from 169 down to 151. Oh gosh, and that was a short one. That was just from May 27th till here about July. So that was just over a month. And same thing, just a steady drop. So in about 4 or 5 weeks, am I doing my math right? About 5 weeks, 5 weeks, symptom score 170 down to 38. That is quality of life, guys. If you've looked at that symptom score and you can imagine your symptoms being less painful and less intense by half or over half, that's what these numbers mean. So that's what this program is doing. We're getting to that root cause. It's the perfect springboard to get your body healthy, reset, get your lifestyle overhauled, 86 down to 48, and just really get back to that quality of life. And then whatever's keeping you from getting this number even lower, we can dig into that and get more personalized. A lot of people just choose to keep going and they're like, you know, I'm just going to keep sustaining, keep doing this, and I'll check back in like 6 months or a year. That's fine. And some people, they'll see those numbers continue just as the body continues to heal. So that's the quick little video today. I just wanted to show you how that all works, what it can look like. So yes, it can be a little intense at first, but the goal is a sustainable lifestyle that brings back all quality of life, including being able to go out for a social activity or travel and still maintain your progress and feel good. So let me know if you have any questions, drop any comments that you have. Check out the website. I'll put all the links in the description, but I just wanted to explain that's what that was. So quick and short little video this time around. I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, strive to thrive. Bye, guys.